I'm Brittany Elizabeth, and this is How to Be in Love. How to Be in Love is a series where we talk to people in happy, healthy relationships to find out just how they got here and what they do to keep their love alive. My hope is that witnessing examples of the good, the bad, and the beautiful of sharing a life with someone else will help myself and each of you to see to believe that we can have this too, and that it's never too late to learn how. Could you both tell me your name, and a nickname is fine, and your pronouns?
I'm F. Pronouns are she, her, hers.
And I am Kay, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Can you tell me your age range, be it 20s, 40s, 60s, etc.?
I am very early 50s.
Anyway, I'm mid 40s.
Kay, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I think I'm both.
F, how about you?
Well, it depends on my mood. If I'm tired, I think I go more introverted. If I feel like I have enough energy, I come out a little more.
Do you each know your love language?
I feel like I show my love language through acts of service. Like, I'm really about, fixing food and making sure things are taken care of. I remember in our early days of our relationship, since she was traveling long distance from Virginia, I think early on I got her some kind of seat cushion for her to use when driving.
That beaded thing.
Yeah, my shit just gets very practical. So it's an act of service kind of situation. I don't know if I'm necessarily the most romantic, but I respond to gestures of romance, and I like gifts.
And F, how did you like that cushion?
I hadn't thought about it in years until she just mentioned it right now.
She don't care about my cushion.
I really love gifts. I love to receive gifts. I know that her love language is acts of service, so I try to remember to do more of that around the house. I also think she responds well to affirmations. But I'm definitely a gifts person. That's I think my main one, that someone has thought about me and given me something that is thoughtful.
For both of you, what are your astrological signs?
1, 2, 3.
Taurus.
Oh, that's amazing. That makes so much sense. Taurians are so they like warm spaces and coziness and food. That's my jam. I'm a Taurus moon, so I totally get it.
It's interesting. Yeah. I'm like a Taurus 1 and she's a Taurus 2, So I have a little bit of this Aries situation that makes me a little bit more like, la, 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 I can do what I want. And she's a little bit more firm. But
okay. What does that mean? Because I don't know as much about the signs as she does.
Not so stubborn that you wouldn't leave a burning building, but just a little bit more settled.
I get that. I'm an Aries rising, Taurus moon, so I can relate to being a little scattered, but also liking things the way I like them and being kind of tough to move sometimes.
We are one and same.
Okay, so let's get into it. Can you please start off by telling us a little bit about your upbringing and your caregivers and your childhood dynamic?
I was a military child, mom and pop, and an older brother and a younger brother. My dad retired when I was about 10 years old, so we settled down into a suburb in Virginia and planted there, all the way through high school, my college days. So mom was stay-at-home mom for us. I'm black. Kay is black. So pretty, I sometimes think back and think about the black cleavers. Pretty traditional, felt a lot of love, felt, very cared for. Basically, liked school a lot. Grew up in an integrated neighborhood, not recognizing what I was missing, and sought it out more when I was an adult, moving to Baltimore 12, 13 years ago.
Moving on to Kay, tell us a little bit about your upbringing, your caregivers, your childhood dynamic.
I was born in Connecticut, but pretty much raised in Baltimore. My mom was from South Carolina and migrated up north. And up north, she met my father, who was a encyclopedia salesman and also a member of the Nation of Islam up there. So our family converted. When my parents separated, my mom moved down to Baltimore because we had family down here. She began the process of unconverting. We struggled hard in West Baltimore. That's where I am. I am one of 4 kids. I'm the youngest out of my next older sister, and then my brother, and then it's me. So I'm the youngest.
How did the two of you meet, and how long have you been together?
So we met on Match.com.
No way.
Yes, indeed. This year will be 17 years together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. I repeated the number to Kay this morning, and she looked at me in horror, like, that long? Really? Yes, yes. I'm the one that keeps up on the numbers.
Do you remember the messages on Match.com that pulled you in, that made you closer?
I remember her profile picture, she was wearing this red fleece jacket, I believe. There was a line in her profile that said that her cat is her best girlfriend. And I said, okay, let me follow up here. How about you?
I was just amazed that someone got back to me when my profile really just talked about my cat and Lord of the Rings. That was kind of magic. I'm like, what? I wasn't expecting nothing. So, yeah, when she reached out to me, I was kind of surprised. I hadn't thought anybody was looking. And I literally put it up there because I had just come back from hiking the Appalachian Trail with my one of my buddies. And she was just like, we just got to find you somebody. So, like, I was all dirty and stuff from running around in the woods. And I just took this picture and put it up and talked about my cat and Lord of the Rings. And someone called me back. I couldn't even. So, anyway, but so she directly emailed me, which was really a neat feature. You had to pay extra at Match.com to email people. I was like, oh, so she's serious. Because if somebody just poke you, they ain't serious. Hey, what is that? So I took that seriously. And it really was, though, from... I liked what I saw, and then when we got on the phone, I just liked what I heard. I was like, this person's really smart and super passionate, and I want to get to know her a little better.
It sounds like you were just standing in your authenticity. You were just exactly who you were, and someone amazing responded to that.
Yeah, it was just like, I don't, like, what's the point of faking it? Like, I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm a nerd. Like, this is who I am. I'm not going to act like something I'm not. And I have more interest outside of cats and Lord of the Rings, but they take up a pretty good amount of space in my mental mind times. So, yeah, shit.
Still 17 years later, yep.
Do you feel that you were both happy with where you were in your lives at the time that you met each other?
I had to be, because if I wasn't happy, I wouldn't have been on Match at all. I'd have been curled up in a ball somewhere with my own cat. And so I was feeling pretty good. I'm thinking back on that time and, you know, had my own little apartment and a little job, and realized that if I don't make some proactive steps toward trying to see if I can find someone to hang with, then I will be sitting here by myself. That's definitely one space where I was more introverted, you know, around, you know, dating and seeking out people. So I was like, let me try to step this up a little bit.
Yeah, I was in a good place. I feel like I was just living my life, and my life felt pretty adventurous, you know? It was just like, all right, yeah, sure, let's go hiking in a trail. Yeah, I'm gonna make a movie. Yeah, I'm just gonna do what I do. I was feeling fairly confident and okay with myself, and I was also kind of okay with the fact that I didn't have anyone at that point. I was like, okay, I'll put it out there. I'm not gonna assume that I'm going to be single forever, but I'm not gonna hinge my entire, like, happiness on the idea of being coupled with someone, because I saw how that worked out in other people's lives, and it didn't work out. I'm like, you seem fucking miserable worrying about this dude all the time. I think additionally a part of that was the simple fact that, like, from age 16 to like 23, I was in a relationship with a dude. So like I'd been in like a long-term relationship. I'm like, okay, so that's what happens, and that's what happens. Let me just be where I'm at. You know? So I was in that let me just be where I'm at kind of space for a while. I was pretty happy. Had some like weird dating situations occur, you know, coming out and all that. I do feel like you kind of have to love up on yourself a little bit more in order to be open to someone else coming in to love up on you. That was my focus. Like, love up on myself. Because in the end, that's what I'm going to have.
Do you feel like it was your long-term relationship that led you to that revelation?
I think that. I think also being raised by a single mom who had a feeling of, well, you better get yourself together and take care of yourself and make sure you can take care of yourself without someone else. I think I grew up and got a lot of signals around that as a child, especially watching other single mothers and stuff sort of have their whole lives up and down and around, thrown all around, waiting and on a man, or trying to make a person who's just not ready be accountable to their children. So I think a part of that was also like just growing up and seeing like, I'm a black woman and I just gotta make sure I'm good. I can take care of myself and pay my bills and look at myself and be like, oh, you kind of cute. I love that little fat stomach and all that other kind of stuff. So that I'm not sitting around trying to get all my milk from someone else.
F, how does that differ for you?
So my mom, again, my mom and dad's, marriage being very traditional, meaning I saw a lot of patriarchy and some inequities, and I'm the only girl with two brothers. The budding queer lesbian person in me was activated by what I knew I didn't want. My parents were happy together, they loved each other, but I felt that what I saw wasn't me. I think this may be the first time I ever really even talking about it and answering the question. So I also feel like I didn't get signals from my very black traditional family and extended family about me getting married and growing up, because I could already tell I was different somehow. I was not conventionally into hair and makeup and whatever, batting my eyelashes at boys or whatever. So it's like I don't think it was expected of me to go into the same. Oh, you're laughing. Yeah, I'm going to the same.
I'm just picturing you batting your eyebrows and how that would never happen.
Batting eyebrows. Did I say eyebrows or eyelashes?
Eyelashes. Whatever films do with their eyes. I don't know.
Oh, and also I was I was a chubby little kid. So like, again, all these conventions of girlness and womanness that I didn't adhere to and wasn't trying to. It didn't stick. Whatever they were might have been trying to, ask me, you got a boyfriend? I'm like, just like, no, I don't, So I knew that was the norm, but I always was kind of thinking off into the future of like, well, what different life is going to be for me? I always had this thought. I never thought I would be married at all to any body, pre-concept of queerness and like any dude I considered myself. I was like, I'm gonna go find some kid to adopt and we'll like grow up together. So I didn't, even though I grew up in this very traditional space, I felt like it wasn't what I was meant to replicate until I, fought for the words for it. Because you got to find your own space in this world.
Yes, you do. How much time would you say you spend together? And are you happy with that amount of time?
Let's see. Well, COVID times is like 95%. And for me, like, it's good. I'm happy, but I also want us to hopefully prayers to the Lord and every deity that we can go back to a space where we can have more of our lives as we had them, being able to just freely go and see our people separately and together and go to our separate workplaces and have whatever interactions come out of that.
So pre-COVID, like, so we have COVID, which is like 95% of the time.
Sure.
Pre-COVID, I would say that, I don't know, 75%, maybe?
Sure.
Maybe 75, 70%. Like, because we have very active interest outside of one another, and that's really important to both of us. And also, like, the freedom of being queer is that we can do this how we want.
Whatever we want.
We ain't expect to be underfoot all the time with each other. Like, what? No. You gotta have a whole spectrum of people in your life that do different things for you. That's a fundamental part of how we are as people, is able to do stuff on our own and together. It's just a part of who we are as queer and feminist and black. It's just this, you don't get your milk all from one space.
And I'm guessing that this comes with a prerequisite of extreme trust, complete trust in each other.
I mean, she's her own person. I'm my own. That was happening before we got together. Like, I want to support that and not, like, be clinging. I want her to be the freest human possible. And we are, raising cats together. So it's
I think Brittany has a point. Like, what hangs out under that is just trust.
Yeah.
So I want to move on to another question, but before I do, are you comfortable sharing your cat's names?
President of the United States, Giblets, and DJ Shadow. Vice President of the United States, DJ Shadow.
And then there's an aquatic turtle as well who is also 17 years old.
And his name is Scully.
Oh, now I didn't know that you were X-Files fans as well.
That's my whole life.
Amazing.
That's a whole other podcast of all the fandoms of K. So,
can you please tell me your favorite thing about each other?
Well, K is the most determined and disciplined and just clear person I know. Makes a decision about what it is that she wants to do or pursue and just fucking does it. Done. Like, no question. I'm gonna go get a PhD. I'm gonna get it done in 5 years. Done. I just so deeply admire that quality that I just don't have the same. Like, I've made it through life so far, and doing all right, but just the sheer determination and clear vision for what she wants for herself is just really amazing. And then also just she's very honest and cares very deeply about people. That was, one of the early things I saw in her, that is like, people either care or they don't. And so just, I saw very clearly that she genuinely, loves the people she loves. So it's like, that's just a really good sign. I'll stop there. There's more, but that's where that's what I'll give you.
Well, that feels good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I have to say it so aggressively so that I don't feel sentimental. She's very compassionate. Like, super duper compassionate. And that comes out different when a person is kind and not nice. She's one of the only people I've ever met that sort of exhibits an understanding of the difference between the two. To be kind is to be compassionate, even if the person has pissed you off or you disagree with the choices they've made or any of the other stuff, right? Is to extend that compassion to a person, and it comes out as kindness. And niceness is you can say please and thank you. If I need to figure out how to navigate into a true north space to be compassionate, how to show up in a space as a compassionate, kind person, I look to my wife because she always does. And she knows. She helps me with my awkwardness that happens where sometimes I don't know how or what to say. I'm like, oh, right? Because can I just talk about Star Wars? And I'm like, oh, this person has an adequate emotional response and understands. And I really appreciate that. So I appreciate her compassion and kindness. And I also appreciate the fact that she's got a really strong streak of do right. Like, do right. There are protocols of do right.
Damn it.
And I love that. Right? Don't cut corners on it. Do right. Be right by people. Stand up. Do your thing. And I've seen her get in the fire in some stanky ass moments, and she stands up. And I think that's kind of the rhythm of our partnership. The smoke alarm going off, I'm like, shit, that smoke alarm is going off. She's like, look, there's the fire. Fix that. Oh, shit, yeah, fix the fire. Okay, now let me see if I can fix everything that's happened because the smoke alarm went off. Let me take down the smoke alarm, right? It's like, she's got this due north of stepping into the fire, and I've seen her do it, and her jobs, I've seen her, like, take the hit to make sure shit is right for other people, and there's like no questioning about it. And my job is to support her and create spaces where she can do that and be held and safe in the midst of it.
This is so beautiful and expansive in my heart. I just feel it opening just to hear you talk about your love for each other. That's incredible.
Oh, I'll say it with a non-sentimental voice. Thank you.
What's one thing about each other that it took you time to accept or get used to?
For me, it was the nerdiness. I mean, I knew clearly from that Match.com platform that she was nerdy, but then to like experience it, you know, in the flesh, the depths of the nerdy was a whole other thing. And so it wasn't that I was like, well, what's going on with her? This is weird. I needed to learn more about it and why. And what I learned was amazing and is amazing. It's like, for example, the sci-fi love. What I learned for the first time for myself was that you can take situations that happen here on Earth that are difficult and throw them up into space and play around with possible resolutions that clearly are much harder, you know, down here on Earth. And that's just a beautiful thing about sci-fi. So I learned that from her. And then for her to have these fandoms that came from childhood that she then converts into academic work. Like November, she came back from a conference in Seattle where she gave a presentation about Black comic book heroes. I mean, come on, you know, and the origins of Black comic book heroes and Black power and white, you know, comic book industry and co-optation and all this stuff. It's really incredible. So it took me a quick minute because on the surface it's like, this is a nerdy chick. And then you know that there's deeper levels to it that I would have never even half thought of that are actually applicable to our existence and contributing to like knowledge, you know, for the planet is just great. So that was a really wonderful realization that the nerdiness and the goofiness of it that comes out sometimes is so much deeper than just the word nerdiness.
I think mine is a little more serious, but yes, it's just as important. I have to learn how to deal with quiet, right? She looking at me funny. I grew up in a household where quiet meant something sad was happening. Quiet meant depression. Quiet meant I've got to figure out how to fill up the space with more fun so other folks ain't upset. And I had to learn. I feel like in our relationship, I've learned that it's okay to be in a space where folks are quiet and don't have a whole lot to say, and that doesn't mean danger or lack of safety. There's an allowance to be quiet and rest and to not have to run around all the damn time. Where there's a part of me that feels like, I'm a shark, right? If I stop running, I'll just keel over. To understand that quiet looks different than what I grew up with, and that it's not always a thing that I have to fix. That's been a growthy thing.
What's one of your favorite memories together?
Our DIY wedding. We got married at the courthouse, just the two of us, but then a month later had a reception at the sort of the community room of a friend's high-rise apartment downtown Baltimore. And so invited friends and family and had like 4 hours worth of music. Because basically the baseline of it, we just wanted everyone to just dance. We had a vision of a reception where there just was only just dancing and food and joy to celebrate. I talked to a friend like last week, so that was 9 years ago, and she told me that was the first and last time that her husband ever danced was at our wedding. So it was like we achieved the goal, and so we ended up, cooking a lot of the food. Some friends cooked the food as well. Cupcakes for the wedding
with zombies on them.
Yeah, cupcakes with zombies, because that was the desire for Kay, that she wanted, zombies involved in the wedding dessert. Again, the nerddom comes in with Yoda officiating in some respect, and we said our vows to each other. So it was a really great group effort. We've been living together for a few years, but as Kay would say, letting the government in on our relationship, that official start, with that gathering. And when you think about it, a wedding or funeral is when you most likely going to gather the most people in your life, to come and witness you, So just looking around the room that day about, and all this assortment of people just really, choked me up, and I was just so grateful and happy.
No, that was a really, really fun memory. I think also our various vacations have been like the fun and the bomb as well. So I think about any time that we get to leave has always been most of them have been a really pretty good time over the years. It's just like, oh, guess what we're doing? We out of here. I like the way we travel together, experiencing new spaces, because I get really nervous when I'm not in these Baltimore streets at times. As adventurous as I am, I'm also very much like a homegirl. Some of my favorite memories are whenever we get a chance to go out and experience a different space, like our honeymoons and stuff like that, and just like our regular kind of travel.
Can you talk about a difficult situation that you overcame, about how you got through it?
Well,
shit just got real.
It does. It's real a lot, and so I think you at one point applied to this workplace where I ended up getting a job. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
And so this place was extremely toxic. Bosses were screamers. I was the HR lady there, and very quickly I recognized that I needed to leave. But this was actually the same year we got married. She had just left her job to begin this PhD program, so dollars, dropped. And then here's a job I got, but I needed to leave it because it was toxic. And so how are we going to make it? So we had some really deep discussions about me needing to leave. And I just knew that I could not stay at a place where the management was yelling at me, yelling at other people. I was doing my best to try to protect people, helping other people get out, and recognizing I needed to get out. Like, I was there 2 months, and it's like, it's time to go. So the tough part was having that conversation, as we're just starting out, definitively, making our lives together, getting married, sharing expenses, all of that. And I'm saying I'm leaving my gig. So that, made us all nervous, but I think Kay felt even more nerves about it.
Yeah.
You want to say more?
Yeah, like security and physical security is like a super important thing to me because I grew up without resources. So anytime that feels like really like precarious, it taps into a lot of poverty trauma for me. So that decision was really, really hard because I was trying to figure out how are we putting these things together, how are we making two and two fit. So that was a really difficult situation. But what ultimately helped was some individual work that I kind of had to do around my freakouts about that kind of stuff, right? And understanding that, you know, we're always helped. We'll be good. We can figure it out and be scrappy and figure out how that works. And then also, I had to just get to this understanding of the baseline of what it means to say that you're going to get married to somebody. Y'all both said that through a whole bunch of difficult shit, you ain't going nowhere. You said you aren't. So since the going somewhere is totally not on the table, you just got to negotiate and figure it out. And I think one of the big fears I had at that time, which I don't have anymore, is like when folks are crying or emotional or whatever about something, I feel like I've done something bad. And it's just like, no, people can have heightened emotion and express it heightened, and that doesn't mean that you don't get to speak your truth. And if the underlying question is like, we ain't going nowhere, we just got to work this one out, then it's okay if I'm crying, it's okay if she's crying, it's okay if it's emotional. That doesn't mean danger. That means you just got to do some work.
What kind of work did you do to comfort yourself through that time?
Therapy. Therapy. Yeah, man. Know your own inner freaking landscape so that you can know how to be with other people. Like, it don't make no sense to be getting into a relationship with folk and not understand who you are.
How do you work through disagreements in general?
Talking through the issues, being clear about what the issues are. So, you know, sometimes in disagreements there, like we just said, heightened emotions. So to breathe and to be able to articulate, well, here is what the concern is. The talking through the points of the concern after the emotions have come down a bit, I think has been really helpful, because it's really hard to be one's clearest self, best self, when there is heightened emotion attached to it. Not to say that the heightened emotion isn't part of life, but in terms of trying to talk through something, it can be an obstacle and a barrier.
Right. There's no rational way to be in an emotional space, but you have to understand that, like, if the baseline is trying to come to an understanding, then you have to do what you got to do to get yourself together so you come to that understanding. And if that means, like, crying for your minute, wiping them tears, and then having an actual conversation, then do it. So it's like, it's like, you can't take emotionality out of it because we're human people, but you can't let that be the thing that dictates how the communication occurs.
Right.
What is your favorite thing to do together, and what is your favorite thing to do apart?
So the together, I think we talked about it a bit already, the going away together, vacationing, finding a place that neither of us have been to. We alternate, I think, between beachy space and woodsy space. Those are kind of our go-tos. It's kind of funny. We have fits and starts of like board game-y kind of times together. She enjoys them more than I do, so I'm the one most likely the reason why we don't do it more often. But when we do, it's a lot of fun, good laughing.
Yeah, I think we enjoy new experiences together a lot, like immersive plays and art and music, like enjoying like new experiences one another. Like, she my running buddy for that I very much appreciate. And to do alone, get out my kitchen. That's where I'm at, and that's where I've got work to do. Don't be telling me what to do. Get. Don't have opinions, just get.
And I respect that. I respect that. I step away. I await the results. I'm very happy with the results. And so it's all good. It's all good. And when I get in, that's very upsetting to Kay that everything is everywhere.
She's
And
got how many spoons you need? How many spoons?
it's best this way because Kay enjoys cooking for us, just the two of us, for groups of people. So I just step back. It's just not my. I just don't have the same talent or even interest. I don't. That might sound bad, but I just don't. I like to eat, but getting it all together is a lot. It's and she enjoys it. So,
but I do want to add though that one thing I think we enjoy doing together is we enjoy hosting gatherings together.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so looking forward to post-COVID. And then for me doing alone, I love thrift store shopping alone because it's a very lengthy process. Yeah, I do it best by myself. I can spend the time I need by myself. In previous outings with Kay, she's ready to leave and I'm not. And so what again, this is pre-COVID still. My thing is I go and spend all the time I want and get things for her too, clothes that I think are really cool, or maybe some interesting kitchenware, and then come back and have surprises.
What advice would you offer to someone who's looking for love?
I say, this is F, go do the stuff you love. Go cultivate stuff that you love for yourself. Find out what you love and go do it. And some of that stuff, make it stuff where other people are doing the similar thing. Start talking to folks. Go love yourself by doing things out in the world that you really enjoy, and meet people along the way, and fall in love with your friends. Love in all the ways possible. Because this rolls back to the beginning when I was talking about my hetero patriarchal upbringing. It is not the end all and be all. It's wonderful. Love Kay so much. And it is not the pinnacle. It is a wonderful thing to have found this woman who I really love and want to spend time with. And it's so important to have friends who I love and love me back, hobbies I enjoy and experiences I enjoy, without Kay, because that makes me like a whole human. So for folks looking, go look, and please live your life fully while you're looking.
Very well said.
Yeah, I co-sign that. I have one extra caveat to the cosign. Folks looking for love, other than get that therapy that we talked about earlier.
Therapy for those.
Right. Is I also think it's very important that you have a clear definition of what things mean, right? What does love mean to you? What does living together mean to you? What does going steady mean to you? Like, to have a
you are so 1952.
I'm gonna be where I'm at. Like, what does Netflix and chill mean to you? Is that more?
That's better.
That's more in the young times thing.
Thank you for translating for us.
Yeah. But I really think that's important. And I literally did that throughout our relationship. When she said, I'd like to see you exclusively, I'd like for us to be girlfriends. Well, what does that mean to you? Was my question back.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, because this is what it means to me. And we found the spaces in the middle and said, all right, this is how we're going to do that. So, like, understanding definitions of the things that you're wanting and asking for, so that when you meet somebody, you can confidently be like, well, what does that mean to you? Don't take for granted that their definitions are yours.
And I've never done that. Maybe that's why my relationships have been interesting.
Do you really need this podcast now? Have you got what you need? Sorry.
I did. I definitely got. I think that's it. It's a one and done. So we've reached the end, and I just wanted to take a moment to offer you some space for shameless self-promotion, should you choose to take it.
Yeah, I don't have a thing at this moment.
I, because of the job I do in my real life, my thing is under aliases. So those who know me know my alias, and there you have it.
Then I will ask an alternative question. Do you have a cat name you'd like to share with someone who's thinking about having a new cat girlfriend?
Yes. Yes.
Go for unique.
Yes. A unique name.
For example, I think go for situations that are reminiscent of the animal itself. For example, Giblets has his name because he rolled up on the front porch on Thanksgiving Eve 12 years ago.
Oh,
So Giblets is part of the turkey, and that's why he has that name. So give it a name that's memorable and has meaning to your lives. Then whenever you see the critter, they will remind you of the special time.
And also, never be afraid to give your critter an honorific. Very important. Ms., Madame, President, because they're the most important things in the world.
yeah, that's essential. I agree.
Elevation, yes.
Elevate. They did domesticate us. So we owe them that respect.
Agreed. Thank you so much. And thank you all. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.